there's too much to cover, right? That's why you do what you do.
That's right.
And we can't go through all the emotional issues and all the advice that we could cover. What are the resources? Let's say you wake up today and you realize that next year, ideal case, you're going to be downsizing. What kind of resources in the community and your family do you think people might not think of, and they should? There's your company. There's you work in a independent living place. I never knew that somebody like you existed. So, you know, what should I know at that point? Who might be out there? Who might I turn to?
Well, I actually, if you're thinking about doing it, there are some fabulous websites out there. If you were to put in like downsizing possessions, you'll come up with dozens of websites that have free information that can give you some ideas about what the process would be like. I don't always agree with all of them, but they will open your mind to possibilities. Also, there's, I believe, some government sites that talk about all the variety of senior housing available.
I came across a book in the library.
Yes.
Well, the Albany
That's
Guardian Society puts out a spiral-bound book every year.
I came across that
all
on
the
the
different
shelf.
options. That's a wonderful resource. That's for, you know, senior living options. But in terms of getting started with downsizing, and Helen is right, there's a lot of information. You know, there's books in the library, there's stuff on the internet. I think Helen's website, you have a ton of resources listed on
now,
your...
how would they reach your website? Just put in Helen Volk?
They could put in Helen Volk, and you'd be amazed how many Helen Volks there are in this country. Yeah, Helen Volk Coast, New York. They could put in Beyond Clutter, which is the name of my business.
Easy, right. And if they put both of those things, they're going to get you for sure.
Oh, they're definitely going to get me. And I actually have a page called Pass It On that lists 60 local nonprofit organizations and their wish list, that is, the kinds of items they want. So when a person is getting to the point that they need to get rid of things, family doesn't want them, but they want to donate them, here's a resource geared to the Capital District that does the homework for you, and it gives you all the contact information so you can call and say, hi, you know, I have blah, 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 blah. Are you interested in them? And if so, you can even ask, and I recommend you always ask, can you come and get them?
Okay.
Because I find that organizations who want something and you have a quantity often will go out of their way to find a way to get it.
And then you know they want it if they're willing to pick it up.
Right. That isn't always the case.
Okay.
Right. And there are very few professional organizers in upstate New York. Now, when I started 20 years ago, there were 4 of us in all of upstate New York. Myself, 1 in Rochester, 2 in Buffalo.
I don't think you're going to cover the state
no,
for
but
everybody.
now there's 100 in all of upstate New York. So in Albany, there's another woman who specializes in seniors, like I do. She's in Saratoga. And so that end is covered. So there's a couple of us, a couple of options. Finding individuals is not always easy, but you can go online and do searches for professional organizers, Capital District of New York. And some names will come up. You've just got to do some homework, but we're not easy to find necessarily.
One more question along the same line. You mentioned sometimes the family doesn't quite have the right comprehensive picture of how to help the parents. How should the parents start out talking to the family about what they are planning so that maybe they kind of keep things in the right order?
I think for me and my work, I have found that the worst place to talk to family is in your house.
Yeah.
Because then the kids start looking, oh, I can have this, I can have this, or where's this going to go? And they start...
or they get sentimental about...
Or they get sentimental. Mom,
what do you mean you're
going to house.
This is the house that we grew up in.
That you need to take the kids out.
Yeah. And you may need to sell the house
Right.
in order to
Oh,
finance?
most people do.
Right.
They have to sell the house.
Most people have to sell the house.
And that's also why you start downsizing
Yeah.
early, because you've got to prepare the house for sale. And any real estate agent is going to say, clean it out.
Yeah.
So
Right.
take them out to a neutral space. And I think the dialogue is important, not only for the parents to say, we're at a stage in our life where we want to downsize, but you have to hear what the children's point of views are. And in neutral space, I think it's easier.
Yeah. And different people have different approaches.
Yes.
I have some couples that, because I always ask, because the family dynamics are going to come into play one way or another. So I want to know, And some people will say, well, we make our own decisions, and we'll tell our kids when we've made the decision where we're going. So that's one approach. But I think if the adult children are worried, well, where are we going to go for Christmas? Kids can lay a guilt trip on mom and dad
too. Need that right then.
And they don't. And so, sometimes the parents would better take approach where they would say, this doesn't mean that we're not going to be spending Christmases together. It's just it's time for somebody else to step up and host the party instead of always being at our place. Right. And it's okay to say that. But sometimes I have to remind people that it's okay to say that. Every holiday does not need to be spent at your house.
No,
and the mother will say, oh, yeah, because it's
so
I don't even enjoy it. It's so much work, or whatever.
Yes.
I mean, there's different things. There's different approaches.
It's going to differ with the family and how many children are local versus maybe they're not local.
Right. That's
and then you've got
to.
And I often find that if the parents can get started and we can get them in the right attitude, and they are starting on their way already, the children often come along quicker.
Yeah.
If the parents have to depend on the child for help, it's really hard to say, oh, my kid's not appropriate. But some children will be impeding the parents because of their own issues about holding on. Maybe they're clutterers. They can't let go. And they're going to pass that fear along. And it's time for the parents to say, okay, when we're ready, we'll have you come in and choose things, but we need to work with someone else.
That's great.
You've got to, and we all both work and try and help the seniors find that path of least resistance.
Right. That's right.
Sounds good.
Right.
We've covered a lot of ground. I really want to thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. And I want to thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the show, that you tune in again next time, and that you have a great week. Take care.
Welcome to Channel 17, the Town of Colony Government Channel.